Well, it's been an eventful week. We've had an inauguration, and some people are relieved, and some people are upset. Which are you? Do you feel like you've lost something this week? Do you fear for the future of the country? Or do you feel relieved? Let's talk about gaining, losing, and our country on the Corner of Truth and Life. Hello and welcome to the Corner of Truth and Life. This is Ira Hall, and today we are talking about the election, the inauguration, the change in administration, and the fact that, man, like everything else in the last 12 months, this has been like something that most of us, or probably all of us, have never experienced. Now, no matter how you understand what happened, we all understand that this time was different. And depending on how you look at it, your emotional reaction probably varied greatly. You might have been relieved, oh my goodness, thank goodness it's over. Or you might be scared, that's the end of America as we know it. Or somewhere in between. Maybe you're just sitting there going, can we be done now and get back to talking about my car's extended warranty and saving, 15% on my car insurance by switching, things like that? Can we get back to just the day-to-day? After all, it's not like we aren't still in the middle of trying to figure out this whole COVID thing. And it's winter in Maine, so if you're in Maine or in the north, then you're just dealing with things like weather. Biggest concern for my children are, will we have enough snow to go skiing? They really haven't been overly concerned with the whole election thing. So we have a variety of reactions, of perspectives of what it means, what we just went through and what we are going into mean. And let's think about that. Because there's a sense among some that we've gained something back. That, the last 4 years were bad, that this was a tough time, and finally we've had a restoration. Then there are a bunch of other people who kind of see it exactly the opposite way. They saw the last 4 years as the restoration that has been now cut short or perhaps even stolen. As we know, there are those who have believed that, oh my goodness, it's been taken away. And if you feel that, of course, you're going to have a sense of fear or upsetness, anger. So how do we look at this? How do we cope? And how do we have a frame of reference? And, in the Corner of Truth and Life, we want to take the truth that we find in God's Word, and we want to combine it with our lives to actually have paths to move forward and to understand, comprehend, and process our situations. So what do? Well, of course, the first thing that we have to come back to is the idea of home. And what is ours, and what is our home, and what belongs to us? Now, if you go stay with someone for a little while, like when I used to go down to Pennsylvania to visit my friends in Pennsylvania and people who kind of became family to me down in Pennsylvania, I would, while I was staying there, I called that home. It was kind of my home away from home. And even now, it's been almost 10 years, or about 10 years, since I was last down there. But I still miss it like I miss home in that sense. It's a special place for me. And so we we can have homes that aren't ours, but are temporary places where we stay. So when I was staying with my friends or my adopted family, I would feel at home, and yet it wasn't my house. I didn't make decisions on how the house ran. They might give me the freedom to go into the refrigerator and help myself, but I never treated it like it was mine. I might, they'd say, hey, make yourself at home. And I would. I'd, lay on the couch or sit in the living room, but I still did not conduct myself the way I would when I was in my house or my apartment. Because I was home, but I wasn't home. This was not my home. Even though I did feel at home, it meant something different. Now, when Jesus comes, when he comes to live with us and become Emmanuel, God with us, when he comes to live on planet Earth, the first way that he is introduced to us, the first way that he enters, is by, first, of course, they weren't home. They'd had to travel. And so then when they got to this little town of Joseph's forebears, Nazareth, then they would have stayed in the guest room. But there was no room in the guest room because so many people had come. A lot of times our translations say inn, and so then we end up with the innkeeper who turns this poor pregnant woman away. And so then we have whole Christmas specials and everything about that. And that's not really in the text. The word that we call inn is really the guest room. It was in a house. And the guest room was full. There was no room left. It wasn't that they didn't have any rooms left in the inn. There was no room left in the guest room. There was already people staying there. No place to have a baby. You need a little privacy for that. You need a little space. This is going to be messy. And so they went down into the stable where the animals were so they could have some privacy. And so Jesus doesn't just get born in a house that's not his or in a room that's not his. He doesn't even get where the humans usually stay. And this highlights the idea of this isn't home. And then when he's an adult and somebody wanted to follow him, and they say, I'd like to follow you, he says, now remember, I'm homeless. His exact phrase is, foxes have dens, birds have nests, but I don't have anywhere to lay my head. It didn't mean that he didn't know where to go to sleep. It just meant that he didn't possess a home. He wasn't home. He was visiting. And then the Bible goes on to tell us that we are visiting. It tells us to conduct ourselves like aliens and strangers. It doesn't mean aliens like... It means like somebody who's visiting but isn't home. And when you're not home, it changes how you act. You still are invested in the place. I cleaned up after myself, and I might even go and, buy something to contribute to where I was, and took responsibility for the house I was in, for my home away from home, but I didn't treat it as if it was mine. And so I could be involved, I could care for it, I could help with it. It did matter to me what happened. I mean, if the house had got on fire, that would affect me. But I didn't treat it as mine, and that is the picture that the Bible gives, both with Jesus and then the teaching about us. And so, even as we look over this last week, you say, well, what's happening to my country? And I say, well, this isn't my country. It is the country I live in, and I'm an American, and I'm a citizen, sure, in the earthly sense. But the Bible tells me that I'm visiting. This is my home away from home, and I don't own this one, and I shouldn't live like I do. And that means, well, it means I can relax a little, right? Because whoever the leader of this house is, I know who owns my home. His name is Jesus. And I know my home is secure and that there is no election for the king of my country, because that's all been settled and he's in charge and he's got me. And nobody can overpower him. Nobody can take me away from him. Nobody can interfere with his plan for my life. There is no earthly king, president, Congress, judge that can take anything from me that God has given. Whoa. Well, this results in a sense of peace. I mean, I'm still alert to and concerned about what happens in my temporary home, my home away from home. And it's fully appropriate for me to try to help and contribute and to be a force for positive in there. But as far as my emotional reaction, as far as my investment, this isn't my place. This isn't my home. And that brings a level of peace, contentment, and satisfaction that doesn't get thrown around and changed by the circumstances, by whether there's a Republican or a Democrat in office, even whether we're capitalists or socialists. All those things can matter without mattering so much. And what about religious liberty? Well, I care about that too. But again, my freedom comes not from anything in this house, in this home, but from my King. And he said, you are free. Just don't use that freedom to indulge yourself, but through love serve one another. And you know, nobody can take away that power from me. They can make it cost more, but the most they can make it cost is my life, and I already gave that to Jesus, so that's his to do with. And that's why you see someone like Daniel or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or even John the Baptist. We're like, listen, we're not afraid of the earthly rulers. They're not our rulers. So we'll submit to them, we'll serve, but when we serve God, there's nobody that can stop us from doing that. We can do it gently, lovingly, clearly. And if they take our life, well, that just makes us more like Jesus, but they can never take us out of his control. And so peace. And so once again, I'm not all worked up and I'm not angry. And I don't have to rail against what's happening, either what happened the last 4 years or what's about to happen the next 4. My focus is on my King. His kingdom come, his will be done. That's what I can do. And nothing can stop me from that. And I don't have to be difficult. I don't have to be obnoxious. And I don't have to be scared, disheartened, or angry. Instead, I can have the fruit, the results of the Spirit that lives in me. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. There's no law against those. In fact, even in countries with very little freedom, do you know they never really outlaw being nice to other people and being gentle? Even communist countries or under Sharia law, you can still be nice to your neighbor. Now, you might get in trouble for talking about Jesus, but Jesus said, well, if that happens, hey, praise the Lord, right? So let's relax. Don't be so scared. Don't be so angry. Don't gloat. We're not home yet. We're just visiting. Oh, what a relief. I hope that reassures you today. Thank you for listening to the Corner of Truth and Life. This has been a broadcast of the Beans Corner Baptist Church, located at the corner of 133 and 156 in North J. We would welcome you to join us each Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. for a service of music and challenge. If you would like to get more information on the church, listen to this show, past shows, or other messages, please visit us on the web at beanscorner.org or find us on Facebook. Thank you for listening, and we remind you to seek truth. This is Pastor Ira Hall. Have a great day.